Hi, I'm Hazel. It's Saturday today, which makes it time to sit down and catch up on the WoW news of the week, what I've been up to, and answer some of your questions. This week marked the opening of Mythic Sanctum of Domination and the first wing of LFR, and of course, along with the new Mythic raid comes a new Race to World First, and I have actually been watching this one this time, or at the very least, like, leaving it on in the background and then checking in every once in a while. As of recording, we've got both Echo and Limit at 7 of 10 bosses. It may be further along by the time you see this, but Painsmith Raznal was a saga. Every guild that's killed it so far had over 100 pulls on this mid-tier boss, which is bananas. Even on lower difficulties and after nerfs, Painsmith Raznal is still a huge wall for a lot of guilds, so if you are stuck there, you are in good company. For the rest of the race, I am very curious to see how KT and Sylvanas stack up compared to that, on Mythic anyways, because on normal at least, which is all I've killed those bosses on normal, I feel like Raznal was for sure the hardest part of the raid, and it was kind of easier from there on out, so I'm curious to see what that looks like in the Race to World First. Looping back to LFR, that is now open. You can kill the first 3 bosses of Sanctum in LFR. It requires item level 195 to queue and then drops item level 214 loot, and Shards of Domination can drop in LFR, so if you're not raiding otherwise and you want them, you can get them there. If you are raiding otherwise, it is being reported that you only have a chance to get a shard on your first kill of a boss per week, regardless of the difficulty. So if you've already done these bosses on normal or on heroic or Mythic, I suppose, then you do not need to also do LFR for chances at shards anyways. If you're looking for Domination socket gear, though, that's definitely one way to get more of it. I actually did the first wing of LFR this week, and the Fear mechanic, the Predator's Howl on Terragru, and the Fragments of Destiny on the 9 are both fully intact in LFR, so I foresee the first wing not being the easiest one. Once you sort that out, it's pretty much fine from there, but I thought that was, I guess in my brain I figured something about that would be changed for LFR, but it's very easy to see like half a raid feared every Predator's Howl on Terragru, if you can't like coordinate for mass dispels and stuff. The life lesson for that one is, when in doubt, spread out. Speaking of Shards of Domination, not exactly news, but I kind of wanted to touch on and talk about the RNG of acquiring your Shards of Domination, because for raiders, they're a pretty substantial piece of your kit. And it seems just wildly, it's reminding me of Legion Legendaries. It's just kind of wildly random which ones you're getting and when week to week, and it makes such a big difference to your throughput. It's odd to me that they are at the drop rates they are, because there's only 9 shards, right? And eventually everybody's going to have all of them, at least the people that are raiding for them. And then you use the ones that you want and then you're done. And then the drop rate doesn't really matter after that. It's just a question of how unlucky are you in terms of when you pick up your set bonus. I wouldn't be surprised to see those drop rates buffed just because there's such a gulf between people that have their best shards that just got lucky with them and people that are going to take like an extra 6 weeks to get, all of them to drop. And there's really nothing to be done for it. All you have to do is just kind of cross your fingers and hope. So I think that I hope they boost that a little bit just so that people get the ones that they need. Important to note that if you do have a Shard of Domination and it's in a piece of gear and you want to put it in a different piece of gear or you want to swap them out, do not overwrite them. You can take them out. You at Renown 40, insert the right answer here, you can buy a chisel from Bonesmith Airmere in Korthia, and then you can use that as many times as you want to pop Shards of Domination out of gear. So once you have one, put it in stuff, but then take it out of stuff too. Don't be overwriting them. You can take them out with that chisel. So keep that in mind, and fingers crossed that we get some buffs so that people can get their sets and catch up with their luckier friends. In other news this week, we saw a post detailing a hotfix to the way the Fallen Charger rare and mount drop works. The Cliff's Notes is that it is now a daily lockout. You can loot it once per day per character, but they have tripled the drop rate on it to make it behave a little bit more like other rares. If you haven't seen that one yet, the Fallen Charger is a rare that can spawn in the Maw, not Korthia Maw. It runs around, it'll despawn if nobody kills it, but people will kill it. There's generally group finder groups up, and it has a chance to drop this mount, which is my favorite colorway of that particular mount model. So that's nice to see that that'll be getting buffed. I guess nerfed if you were farming it 100 times a day, but then at least you're free to go do other things with your life. For my week in WoW, my raid had a pretty good week. We are now 10 of 10 normal and 3 of 10 heroic. We killed Sylvanas on normal this week, so we've now cleared every fight on normal. And Sylvanas was kind of a letdown for a last boss. Like, I think some of the mechanics are cool. I kind of get like the atmosphericness they were going for, but just in terms of actual gameplay, on normal anyways, it feels like a hiking simulator. There's just large stretches of time with not a whole lot to do, and the mechanics themselves are relatively straightforward. There's a lot of them, but they're so, straight to the point that our raid didn't even really need to explain most things. 70% of the fight can just be described as dodge stuff, kill ads, and don't fall off stuff. I'm not like upset that we killed her fairly easily, but she was definitely by far not even close to the toughest fight in the raid. Raznal was the toughest fight in the raid, and I would say even the 9 was harder than Sylvanas, just with coordinating the fragment dropping. So there's definitely really cool fights elsewhere in Sanctum. I overall really like the raid. I'm having a lot of fun, but Sylvanas feels kind of long for the sake of being long. And then if I was going to complain real quick about one more thing, the runbacks in Sanctum are bonkers. That place needs like those airport style, like flat people conveyors, or a trolley system, or like some more portals, or you really get your steps in that place. What else? Mythic Plus has been fun. I've been pugging keys. Tormented is like my new favorite seasonal affix, and I will be very sad when it eventually leaves because I need my Satchel of the Hunt to dodge stuff. It's so nice having 30% movement speed when I'm trying to waddle on my little priest legs out of mechanics. So I am very attached to that. I've been having a lot of fun there. And then new Torghast, for me at least so far, has been addicting. Like, I'm running it on 2 characters until both of them are tower knowledge capped, and then I kind of want to run more, but I know that I'm going to have to keep doing it for a while for legendaries, so I'm trying to pace myself. I got my first flawless run this week. It was on my druid of all characters. I keep insisting that I don't know how druid Torghast works, but it's just faster than my priest. And then in Adamant Vaults, I had enough Phantasma to buy a back transmog, so I got my Gilded Soul Cage, and my priest is wearing that now. And I like to imagine when she's wearing that to raid, that if you opened it up, it's just full of like snacks and like an extra sweater in case she gets cold. And then questions for this week. Kelly wants to know, now that the Anima drought is over, I'm finding myself with tons of the stuff and nothing to spend it on. Aside from the Renown Transmog, Covenant Event, Transmog, Mounts, just healing your mission table followers, what else can we spend it on? So, not a lot. There are going to be more things to buy on the Renown vendors as we get more Renown. There's going to be recolors of the new sets. There's going to be recolors of the new mount. And then I guess sending missions spends some. But yeah, you can cap, and people do. There's absolutely people out there that are reaching a point where they are anima capped, and they're just having to stack the items up in their bank because you can't even deposit it anymore. It's a good problem to have, I guess. I just don't see why there's an anima cap. I don't know what purpose that's serving. At that point, I think you either just let it stack up and wait for them to add more stuff for you to spend it on, or focus your attentions onto an alt of a different covenant to collect their stuff, or transfer your main to a new covenant and then start collecting their stuff, which will have the unfortunate side effect of cutting you off from all of the cosmetics that you've just spent like 50,000 anima unlocking. But, like, what else are you gonna do? I am happy that the drought's over. It's really nice for alts in particular, but I would love to see the cap gone because you're right, there's not a whole lot else to spend it on. And Andrew wants to know, how do we obtain divine spirits? And follow up, where is the love for engineers? So I had to Google divine spirits. Apparently that's a Night Fae conservatory thing, and you can get them from doing your Maw weekly quests when you are rank 4 or higher with your conservatory. I have not done that firsthand, but that's what the Wowhead Queen's Conservatory Guide said. And then for engineering love, I want to say that engineering is by far the most useful profession in Shadowlands. Maybe not for gold making, I don't know about that, but I am picking it up on every character that I have exclusively for the wormhole generator. It is so good. I wish I had done this at the very beginning of Shadowlands. I wish I had listened to Sense, because I spent so much time going back to Oribos and then flying to other zones when the wormhole generator just takes you where you want to go. It even has a Korthia portal. You don't even have to buy it in all of your alts. You buy it once on an engineer, you add it to your toy collection, and then any of your other alts that have Shadowlands Engineering, and they don't even have to level it, just pick up the profession, and then you can do it. All of that, you can just wormhole port to anywhere. There's also an auctioneer in Oribos for engineers, which is less important if you have a Brutosaur mount or you have someone nearby with one. But the wormhole generator single-handedly makes it worth grabbing engineering on any character that you're not sure about their professions, and some characters where you are. I've had like a 15-year love affair with having herbalism on my main so that I can pick up herbs while I'm like out and about questing. And I think I'm going to drop it for engineering. I can take herbalism back up in a future expansion. I need those portals. And that's the week. Thanks for watching. Questions down below, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.